everyone, Robert here. Today what I've done is I've moved a twin size bed. Doesn't seem like that's a big deal, but this is a 108-year-old house. And in this 108-year-old house, the floor is not level. Just in this 39 inches, the floor is out 1 3/4 of an inch. So what I've had to do is I've had to build some large shims to level out the bed. Once I've leveled out the bed, then what I've done is I made this pre-finished maple headboard, so that way it gives it a nice finished look as well as a place where the pillow won't fall off. So I have east to west and it's level here. Then I level the back end east to west. North to south should be level like this, both front and back. So this whole thing is level. So I have shims here on this side, shims in the back and supporting the middle, so there's no curve like this in the box, so I can get my measurements in the middle. From the floor to the bottom of this, so I know what my shim height is. And this is 1 3/4 inches. So from this end to this end, the floor drops 1 3/4 inches. So I have to make a shim that will support this box here. So I have to make 4 different shims that go 1 3/4 inches to nothing, 1 3/8 to nothing, 1 1/8 to nothing, and 1 inch to nothing. So here's two 2x4s that I have cut down to length at 39.5 inches. This line here is not straight on either side because it's just framing lumber. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these across the joiner to get one straight edge here. Then I can cut parallel off of that with the table saw. Once I cut these parallel, what I'll do is I'll get one shim from thick to thin this way, one shim thick to thin this way, and go the opposite way. The surfaces of these are pretty rough, and I want to be able, when I draw a line, to draw a perfect line. So I'm going to run these things through the joiner and flatten up both sides so I have clean, flat surfaces. I try to only take about 1/16 off at a time. So I have this bed is up 1 7/16. So now I have a flat surface to draw my lines on to cut. So I have 1 3/4 inches, then 1 3/8. Now I'm going to do 1 1/8. And then this last one I believe was right at 1 inch.
They don't understand all of these stars. They be talking and they saying things to us all, and if you ignore them.
So with these lines here, I'm going to cut them on the table saw, but I don't have a jig to match those angles and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the fence away and I'm going to free float and cut this right along that edge, almost kind of like a jigsaw. It's a very dangerous thing. Just as long as I don't bind the piece of wood, I should be fine, other than keeping my fingers out, but that's a normal thing to do. I have the shims that I've made. I have one for each vertical section here. So all I do is put the flat end down and the arced or the curved angled part facing upward. So I'm just going to slide this in here. Make it parallel like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do each one of these and then I'm going to check my, my level. I have my level. I'm going to check to make sure it's level at each placement of where the shims are. Then I'm going to check it north-south across them. It's level now. So now, since this is the 3rd time I've moved this bed in this house, I've had to build these shims 3 times, this being the 3rd time. And as you can see, I can push this back and forth. So if kids or people push on this, it's going to move around. So I don't want it to be permanent, but I want it to stay. So what I usually do is just take a little bead of glue and I put it right here at the end of when I pull this out, and it will attach right here, which will keep this from sliding in and out. And then what I'll do is I'll put a screw on the inside here to hold it, so that way they don't move over time. And I just do that for each one of these. And there you have it. We now have a level bed in an unlevel house. I'm going to make a headboard that's for the head of the bed because the pillow will fall off, as well as if the little guy here will fall off. So we have a protective thing, and this is from the base or the top of the box all the way to here is 21 inches. Then from here to the very bottom is 15 1/4. So I'm going to cut a square and then cut my 1 3/4 off of this end to nothing, so it goes perfectly flat to the bottom. I'll sand the edges and corners to make them all round, but I'm just going to do plywood back like 3/4 inch because this is all unfinished, and this is kind of temporary for now anyway, even though it will be probably for the next 15 years. I'm going to make a headboard. The headboard is going to be something like this. These corners will probably be rounded, and then it'll come over and round like this. The height of this side being the longer side, is going to be a total of 36 1/4 inches. The length of this is 39 1/2. That's the size of the box. So this side right here is going to be 34 1/2. This is going to be square, so this is going to be 90 degrees. This is going to be 90 degrees. This here is going to be the longer, and then this slope is going to go this way. Obviously, I'm exaggerating the angle here, and this will be cut off because the slope of the floor goes from the longest part to the shallowest part. So this is the way the headboard's going to be. This is the longest side, and that is the shortest side. On that box, I added 1 3/4 here to get that box level. So what I'm going to do is on the opposite side, I'm going to remove 1 3/4. I'm going to make a line from 0 here to 1 3/4, and then I'm going to cut that off, sand it smooth. I'm going to cut rounds on these and then edge band this edge so that way I don't see the plywood grain. I'm just using a rounded edge to do the top corners.
Us all, and if you ignore them, you'll be in a downward spiral. You'll be in a downward spiral. Checking my routine, nothing's ever alright, so we prove to them that we can change all of this with our life. It's alright, yeah, it's alright. We'll shine our light. You're holding me and it's so serene. Now open up and I'll tell you things. We're spiraling and it's time consuming. It's what you do to me. People, they don't understand all of these stars. They be talking and they saying things to us all. And if you ignore them, you'll be in a downward spiral. You'll be in a downward spiral.
So here's the foot of the bed, or the head of the bed. Here's a headboard that I just got through finishing, pre-finished maple with pre-finished maple edge banded. I'm gonna put it here, and it is level here. I've already checked, and it's to the floor. Now when you look at it, it actually looks like a true bed. Now what I'm going to do is, now that it's here, I'm going to use 1¼ inch screws on the inside of this box and screw through so there's no screws on this side. And that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm done.